Very good evening, all. Today, we are going to look at one particular aspect of life coaching as a follow up of what we saw last class. Last class was an introduction about what life coaching is about, and I had given a short introduction about it. So, I would like to summarize it. So, anyone who is interested to work with people and who can be more empathetic and who can really want to work with people and in order to provide the necessary first aid for people. So this life coaching, we it's very necessary for us to have a training before we get into it, and that kind of an introduction is what I'm providing to you in this train the trainer program. Because though we are psychologists, though we can be counselors, and sometimes you can be someone from a different field where you are still wanting to work with people. You can work as a barefoot counselor. A barefoot counselor is someone who doesn't have a psychology background, but still they can practice as a life coach or a barefoot counselor based on the training that they can take up. They should empower themselves with the necessary information. There are some of conduct, some ethics which we generally need to follow if we are going to work with clients, and to maintain those professional standards, boundaries. And as a barefoot counselor, why we need this kind of a help is the number of trained psychologists are lesser compared to the need which exists in the society around us today. So thereby it's very necessary for us to be trained before we take up something. And today's topic is about relationship coaching. So, as we began about life coaching, the first was personal coaching. If you have not attended that particular session, it's you can find those video records where you can go through what it is. So today we'll be looking a little bit. So this comes under life coaching. Part of life coaching is personal coaching, relationship coaching. You can have health coaching, career coaching, and today I've taken this topic of relationship coaching, and I feel that this is something that is most wanted nowadays. One thing is, it's necessary for us as mental health professionals to keep ourselves updated on the legalities associated when we are working with a couple who have filed for a divorce, or they're more interested in the separation, inclined towards separation, not interested. But still, where there are areas where it can still be worked, where we can work onto people and make it happen when they are making that choice, that option too is available, and we have a very important role to play here. So communication is something which is very important in a relationship, and I think that communication forms the basis of trust, love, respect, which are the three very necessary components in a relationship for both the spouse to have mutual trust on each other. And the basic is that emotional connectivity should exist. Without that, it doesn't work. That is the basic foundation. Even before having kids, if there is a good communication, good foundation laid between those couple, it makes things more easier to handle, because any family has its own challenges. It can be financial challenges, it can be challenges with kids, and both the families. So in India, it's basically marriages are made between two families, not just two individuals. That's how the society is functioning. So thereby, that basic foundation, that connectivity between those two people involved in the marriage, if it is strong, If that foundation is strong, the other things can be easily handled, whatever challenge comes up the way. It can be in profession, and it can be in household, sharing household responsibilities, it can be anything else, but this is what's the basic. And this basics can be formed when there is good communication in a relationship. How to communicate is something that most of us don't know, but though the intentions are not to hurt the other person, and each of us have a different communication pattern used in relationship. And what how do we form these patterns of communication? The communication which each of us have today, the pattern of communicating with other people, the pattern which we can have with people, especially when you take the spouse, can be formed because of various reasons. It, for example, if we take Swati Priya, the pattern of communication with Swati Priya can have with her spouse is something which is learned, which is seen from childhood. Maybe what she watched from her parents, or what if we are from a joint family, we watch our other family members, we watch our relatives, we look at our neighbors, the kind of exposure, the family dynamics, and the how we were groomed, the type of grooming which I received as a child, and the kind of field I am into. All this gives us a lot of exposure on the communication patterns. That is how we are tuned. Each of us are products of our genes and the kind of experiences we have in life. So I think if most of you here can be mental health professionals, you can have your own kind of communication patterns, which has made you who you are today. Those experiences teaches us, because as humans we are social beings. We learn things by looking at people, and our first initial circle where we learn things is the primary family. Primary family is parents, and if it is a joint family, there are other parental figures in the relationship from whom there is a pattern evolved, and that becomes our pattern of communication. Similarly, the spouse also has a pattern of communication. So, some patterns can be helpful, that is about the way we talk to someone else. Some patterns can be helpful, some patterns can be unhelpful. So, based on that, it is easy for us to identify which is the unhelpful pattern of me, which triggered my spouse. Maybe I could have avoided it if I didn't want to. If I didn't want to like get into it, I could have avoided it by changing my communication pattern. But if I have to change the way I'm communicating, first I should be aware whether this style of communication is helping or not. As I mentioned earlier, we are social beings who learn at every stage. We look at people. We also have healthy couple around us. There could be someone in our neighborhood, and anything. No, we when we are learning certain things, it's okay. It's good. It's nice for us to inculcate that such things in our life, identify the unhelpful pattern. And if we have some patterns which have not been helping us for quite some time, it's okay for us to unlearn them and to relearn the new patterns which are helping us, because the objective is to um, enhance the quality of the relationship. And as a relationship coach, it is very important to identify the communication patterns of the clients whom we meet. So I'll just explain this with an example of a communication which happens between a husband and a wife. So the husband communicates this dialogue to the wife, After I leave home, don't be careless without locking the main door. This is not your village. Now you're living in a city. You don't know what is happening around in the world, as you don't have good habits like even reading the newspaper in the morning. So the husband says this in an angry tone to the wife. Just he says on the face, not even in a polite manner. This is the dialogue which he communicates. So the response from the wife can be of two types or two more types. Here I've just presented two such responses. One response can be that the wife feels humiliated. She says she only says okay. She's not arguing. She's not saying anything. She's only saying okay, but in her mind, she feels humiliated and worries about why he is speaking this way, because it shows disrespect and somewhere uh, she can feel inferior from the kind of conversation, because a person makes me feel inferior by saying that like putting the other person down. So there could be some accumulated shame when people listen to it and they don't respond. They can be carrying it. There can be anger, definitely. And if it is a person who doesn't speak back, some the person has a very passive pattern of behavior, the person will distance themselves from the husband. That is one response, one thing that can happen. The other way around, it can also happen this way. The wife can say, you don't have to teach me what I need to do. You don't have to teach me what I need to do. Mind your tongue can be a response if the wife is used to aggressive patterns of responding. So, what will happen to this kind of a husband who receives this response? If he receives the first response, he will move away maybe without talking further. When the second response comes, it paves way for a argument, a fight, which can also end up in a manner that it becomes a conflict between two families. Initially, it will be only between husband and wife. Later on, if the wife complains the same to her family, the husband complains to his family, it becomes a quarrel between two families. And I'm sure you would have seen such cases, at least known of, heard of such cases in your own circle. But the intention is very simple here. The intention of this husband who spoke the same dialogue is keep yourself safe and the home safe. Keep yourself safe, that's all. But the way he communicated is the problem here. So, what could be a better way to convey the same dialogue? The husband can say, once I leave, please check that you keep the door closed. As this area is new to you, I'm concerned about your safety. Take care. See you evening. So when he says this, then the wife can say, you don't worry, I'll be safe. She says bye. She can also end the conversation by calling the husband dear, because it was a very polite manner in which he conveyed. And the intention here also is the same. Keep yourself and the home safe. So, uh, can you feel the difference between both these dialogues? And do you believe that the intention is the same? If you believe the intention is the same, yeah, put a thumbs up. So, the problem here is if he could have communicated in a more polite way, this wouldn't have come up. So, the communication style needs to be worked on. So, in the previous example which we just saw, The communication between this particular husband and wife. Once I leave, please check that you keep the door closed. As this area is new to you and I'm concerned about your safety, take care. See you evening. And the wife responding, you don't worry, I'll be safe. Bye, dear. So this is an adult kind of communication which these two people have made. So the question which we ask the client is for them to introspect. And I think for now we can also think about our own selves to just answer this question: do I communicate like an adult? Though you don't have to give the response in this platform, I want you to just introspect on the fact that whether we communicate like an adult or not. To me, I feel that um, when it comes to my professional circle, I do communicate like an adult. But sometimes in my personal life, I think I don't communicate like an adult. I'm talking about the relationship with spouse. Because relationship, by here, we are only taking this particular area alone. Relationship between spouse is what we are working on today. So, how do I communicate with my spouse? Sometimes it can be a parenting behavior that I can show. It can be a kind of childish behavior that I can exhibit. But from where does this all come? Like what I told you in the beginning, sometimes we are carrying forward this um, parental voices, what I heard as a parent. It's not that I'm hearing voices in the ear. I'm not talking about this pathological disorder. I'm only saying that there would be certain patterns of instructions which our parental figures gave us when we were a child. That pattern, without our knowledge, somewhere we are copying. It's there in our mind, it is there in our head when we are communicating things or when we are doing certain things. For example, for example, if a father always tells his son, um, you should always listen to elders. You should not decide things on your own. You're not supposed to do things on your own without taking advice from other seniors, elders, without going and doing the rituals or pujas in the temple. You're not supposed to start anything new, whether it is a business or whatever you're doing. You have to get God's blessing. That's more important. Such instructions are always being given. So maybe for 30 years, this male has heard these instructions from the father. I'm not trying to say whether this is right or wrong. I'm only saying that this pattern will be running in his head when even he is functioning as an adult. When he's going on hearing these kind of instructions, it will be there in somewhere. We are all copying models of our parents in our present adult life, which we heard as children. Parental figures are not only parents, it can be teachers, our favorite coach, sports coach, dance master, music master, or some tuition ma'am. And it can be whoever played roles as parents, favorite uncle, favorite auntie, whoever. And the child, within each of us, there is a child. There's a child within us, and there is a kind of grooming which this child received, and this child would have behaved in a particular pattern where even when this child became an adult, that child within is popping out now and then. As long as this child has been healthy during childhood, it will function in a very healthy manner even in the adult life. But if there are some wounds which are not healed, it was a lot of pain to carry, and if it was not a very happy childhood, and the patterns which the child has been using was not that satisfying, that angry feeling or whatever the could be there, that pattern which of communication which the person had earlier could also be expressed in the adult life. So here I've just given an example of parenting in two ways. One is a controlling parent, a nurturing parent. Controlling parent is communicating like a controlling parent is in the example which we saw. The husband here has communicated like a controlling parent. And it is, I would say, a negative controlling parent, because putting someone down in order to feel superior is the kind of communication pattern this person has used. It's just an example. So, this is an example of a controlling parent who is expressing negative traits. At the same time, there's something called positive controlling, where they're expressing the exact need by not putting down the other person, but they're being strict. They can still be strict without putting down the other person. That kind of communication style also exists. So it depends upon what kind of pattern we heard or what we are exposed to. And then when we look at the wife's response, these two types of response, this also can come from the pattern which we have learned. When we look at this adoptive child, the child who can adopt to any kind of circumstance. See, when they positively take it in a sportive way, then it is a positive adopted child. If they really understand what they're trying to communicate, and still it differs from person to person and the situation also. So we are not here telling that this pattern is right or wrong, because based on their childhood experiences, they've gained a particular pattern already which is formed. But after realizing that it is affecting relationships, if the relationship with my spouse is getting affected because of my pattern of communication, which can be worked on, because I now realize that somewhere I have copied such patterns as mind voice from my parental figures or my own childhood experiences. Then there is a possibility now for me as an adult to work on myself and to like do whatever is the needful to enhance the quality of the relationship, because it's very important. It's very important to have a fulfilling life, a fulfilling personal life, which can give us a lot of healing. And to be peaceful towards the end of the day is like, it's the kind of heaven that all of us are looking for. To more than happiness, I would use the term or the word peace. To be peaceful before going to bed, to be peaceful when we wake up, all this is very mandatory. So, this in the wife's first response, we can see that uh, she is following this negative adoptive child pattern. So she's carrying all that inside, but she's just giving the response, okay. and she's not talking anything more about it. But that will definitely be shown in the behavior. It can be shown as passive aggression, distancing, initially distancing physically, later on distancing emotionally, and thereby that quality of relationship is becoming even more thinner and thinner. And then when we look at the second response, it is definitely a negative free child. So, free child is someone like when we look into our own patterns, when we had opportunities to express ourselves, our emotions in a safe place, or express what we think, our ideas, we had room for expressing it to our parents or to our teachers, or our school had a counselor who helped us, then that is a positive free child pattern. But there could also be a negative free child who exhibits the free behavior without any kind of controls. For example, someone can back answer their parents, and even teachers they back answer, but they are not being controlled or taught not to behave in that way. They're not handled properly. Maybe they're not handled properly. They were not handled properly by their parents, or the parents were not in a situation to handle because of their own personal reasons, or they did not have a proper schooling. I think schooling also plays a very major important role in the behavior we are exhibiting today as adults. Certain schools which teach us moral values, certain schools which teach us good habits every day during assembly, compared to some other school which does not impose such things on students. Maybe they're only interested in marks. There can be schools who are like that, or there are some schools who just function for the purpose of functioning. Such schools also exist because I worked in many schools as a school counselor. It from corporation schools to CBSE, ICSE schools. So I have this exposure where I've seen students of different kind and different kind of behavioral problems. So this kind of free child is this exact typical example where the individual is just talking whatever the individual feels. You don't have to teach me. All this is like a pattern which can have existed from childhood, and no one took an initiative to help this particular individual to change their behavior. So this is in this example, when you take a husband and wife, you can see the kind of adult to adult conversation, and you can also call it a nurturant parent behavior. It can also be a nurturant parent, nurturing parent, or uh, controlling parent. Both can be helpful when it is positive, as long as it is positive. Similarly, child, when it is a positive adoptive child or a positive free child, it is more healthy rather than copying negative patterns. So, whenever we identify a negative pattern, it is very important for us to understand that it is negative, it's not helping us, so that we can change it. So let's learn adult communication. A little bit of adult communication is to have awareness about what we are talking and what we are doing, what we are saying. Just like that, I cannot utter words in a relationship which can leave deep scars and keep things broken in the other person. Choice of words. Choice of words need to be very intelligent. So when I was like doing my dissertation, my thesis work in criminal justice, I was very careful with the choice of words which I used to present, because For anyone who wants to draft something for their client, they want their client to win. So you're very careful with the choice of words. Similarly, in a conversation, it's very important to make the right kind of choice of words. So a little bit of exposure, more exposure, I was able to gain when we make visits to the police station, when we make visits to the lawyer's office, and to talk about such things. I don't present the cases in the court. I only provide legal counseling because I did this course. So it's very important how you talk to people, you know. So when we can be that cautious, I think in a relationship, which is even more important, I think the choice of words should be right, not to put down the other person and feel superior about it, because I think strong people don't generally do that. We respect each other. We rise up by rising the other person. This is what is called as positive nurturing. Positive nurturing is I grow, you also grow along with me, kind of an attitude. I provide what for you, and like it's okay, it's fine, I'm providing this for you. I'm not like planning a reciprocation for it. That's fine. I'm interested in your development as much as I'm interested in my own development. This can be a very good attitude. Be kinder to people rather than scolding, shouting. Kindness costs nothing, so we can be kind to our neighbor or someone else, and we can be even like kind to people whom we meet on the street. But why should we refrain ourselves to be kind with our own spouse? We can definitely be kind, and if they are uh, speaking something which is not that nice, it's okay to express patience. It's not that immediately we have to give a response. We can delay the response by being silent. Sometimes, if we feel that certain conversations are meaningless, out of anger, people can tell us certain things which are meaningless, and I feel it's okay for us to ignore it and respond, don't react. Instead of frowning or showing face on shouting, that is not a response, that is a reaction. Instead of doing that, I can take some time, process what I'm trying to say. Just think before you talk. I've seen that image where that connectivity from brain to the tongue is cut in a just a funny cartoon kind of image. When that's cut, then we do such things. But if it is like proper, when that connectivity between the brain and the mouth can be a little stronger, I think we can respond in a more emotionally intelligent way by not hurting the other person. At the same time, I don't have to compromise on what I really want to do or what I really want to say. But what is mandatory is we are not hurting the other person, because it's our own spouse whom we are living with or whom we've been living with. Learning is a continuous process. Yes, at every step we are learning. It's not that we're all born uh, and we learned communication immediately. No. Whatever we know till today is what we learned in the past, what our role models taught us, and our own parenting styles, our own genetics also. Each of us are products of our genes as well as our the way we are today is based on the experiences, life experiences. From childhood till date is what has created you and me, and each of us are unique in our own ways. So, how we reached today to this level is because of our own learning. We empowered ourselves, we upgraded ourselves in terms of profession, even personal life. This kind of learning is very important for us to provide the right kind of service to our clients. If at all we are able to repair certain relationships by teaching effective communication styles, it would be a very big relief for people. And thereby, if at all there are children in that relationship, born out of that relationship, and they would definitely prefer their parents being together rather than living in a split family. And thereby, for children who are watching their parents fight with each other, such kind of training which you will be able to provide as mental health professionals, you and I will be able to provide, will definitely make a lot of sense and lot of change in people, to practice, and like to we will have regular follow-ups. This cannot happen overnight. This just changing the whole pattern is something that cannot happen overnight. It involves a lot of things like cleaning up the past baggage of those individuals. It's not that even in a relationship coaching, we are going to meet both together. It's either sometimes I'm working only with a wife, or either sometimes I'm working only with a husband. This baggage, if you're going to, each of them comes with their own baggage. So it will be useful if we are able to help them to provide some personal coaching for them to clean up their own baggages, restructure their old patterns. And when all this is getting cleared, all that negativity is getting cleared, negative thoughts are getting cleared, it paves way for those couple or them as individuals to attract more things in life, attract more wealth, health, happiness, integrity, and that prosperity, more prosperity. I think no, the kind of thoughts is what, like the statement, like attracts like. We generally travel with people with similar patterns. Birds of the same feather flock together. Similar kind of people, my kind of people. So I think it's very important that way in life when you're providing life coaching to help people on a personal level. And I hope you remember like what, if at all you missed out on the session which we conducted previously, it's okay. It's available on YouTube for you. I will share the link with you. However, I think I've shared a little bit of information. This is not whole part of relationship coaching, but I'm sure I've given you some kind of insights in changing communication patterns in a relationship, which could help the individual to rebuild their relationship. I mean, the communication pattern, and thereby enhance the quality of relationship with their partner. And from my experience, relationship counseling or coaching, we are not only providing it for married couple, even for people who are in a love relationship, people who are in a live-in relationship. Nowadays people are aware, people have awareness. It's not like earlier that they shy off from coming. I'm happy that the younger generation are coming forward to work it out, to sort it out, just to see if this will work or not. They come and take an opinion. They want to come and discuss certain things, and we talk to both in certain sessions. As I mentioned earlier, we do it separately for individuals, for them to self work on themselves, and then if there's some work done individually, I think they're in a better space to provide and accommodate each other. So I hope whatever information I shared till now would have been helpful to you. I would like to hear from each of you, or if you have some questions, please to tell me. And I would like you to tell me what was something that a new takeaway for you from today's session, or you can share some of your experiences of personal coaching as well, whether you conducted or whether you attended, something like that, or some personal experiences. You're free to share. You can tell me what was your new takeaway from today.
Um, may I speak?
Yes, Tanshri.
Yes, Ansh. Yeah. So what I feel that the new takeaway for me is that to clear the baggage, to unlearn your old patterns, because we always think that the pattern we have carried right from our birth is, that's the concrete pattern. But to unlearn that, and before that to identify before entering into the marriage institution is very important. And the one thing which I would like to add is that in my practice, what I have observed, there are a lot of couples in which they are poles apart. Like one is extrovert and other one is introvert. So maybe directly the verbal communication initially doesn't work for them. So what we used to advise them that to indulge in an activity, because and specifically the activity which is more of interest of the person who is introvert. So at least they both could have a common ground to talk about something which is out of their relationship, at least to identify their verbal communication pattern, and then gradually they can take up those patterns or that practice in their relationship.
Exactly. So
And
in
I
the
think that
training,
activity would,
in the
yeah,
training
orient
which
them
I
with their,
offer or the coaching which I offer to clients or to my students is generally that I involve expressive arts therapy, like what
yeah.
Dhanshi just shared, so that people who have difficulty to express certain things verbally can do it without kind of having to defend themselves. There's no need of defense mechanism when I'm doing something artistically. Visual, I can involve visual arts and other kind of modalities where a person without the threat, without feeling threat is to themselves, like to face that reality. I think that's a nicer way. And generally it's not like someone just talks. It's not easy for people to just come sit and talk, and sometimes we are not aware of what it is. We will not be aware of our own. That is why people are coming to us, no, when they are not aware of what it is. So that way, rather than like by giving an activity, it's easy for us to collect more information about our client, and thereby we are in a space where we are able to help them better. Thank you, then, Shri. Someone else? You can share about your experience, your takeaway, anything. All right. So thank you, participants. Thank you for your patience for listening to me. And as I usually tell in these kind of sessions which I'm conducting, one thing that makes me happy is whoever joins in the beginning sustain until the end. This generally happens only if there is something informative in the session and the session is interesting. And I want to thank you all for being part of today's work. Thank you so much. Anything you have, in person. Yes, ma'am. Gomati, ma'am.
Yeah, in my personal experience, ma'am, I have identified my unhelpful patterns, like limiting beliefs, which made me to stuck in this some toxic this thing. No? I have identified it, and then uh, maximum I have unlearned also, and then some of the things I am relearning it. This is what I have
Very good, ma'am. Thank you.
taken from this case. Yeah, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Yeah, your experience arts therapy, no, it helped me a lot in finding out those things. Yeah, ma'am.
Thank you, Gomati,
I
ma'am.
could surely can tell that. Yeah, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.